Hey guys, welcome to It's Called Football. We're here at Shoeless Joe's. I'm your host, Ben Rycroft. With me, as always, Dwayne Rollins from the 24th Minute.
We're here at Shoeless Joe's today. We're with Jack DePoe, the president of the Red Patch Boys. We're going to talk a little bit about the support that's going down to Columbus for the second straight year. It's the second consecutive Canadian invasion of Ohio. And we're going to talk about what that means to Toronto FC. We're going to talk about the security a little bit, and we're going to talk to Jack about what his organization has done to help make it happen.
So maybe you can set the scene for us a little bit. What are the numbers that you think that are going to be going down to Columbus on Saturday?
Well, numbers as far as what I know for a fact is the last number I saw quoted was 721 tickets that we had moved through our group alone.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I know that Toronto FC supporters groups as a collective are probably going to be sending right around 1,000 people down.
Okay.
Then when you're looking at the other people who are going down, people who bought tickets independently through Ticketmaster, the various tours that are being organized through travel. I think there's a travel agent organizing some tours, and so I think we could quite conceivably break the 1,500 mark. I don't think that's going to be a problem, and you know, if everything goes as well as possible, we could get up towards 2,000 people now.
So this week, Don Garber held a press conference, and within that press conference, he made the comment that last year's Toronto FC trip to Columbus really birthed the supporters movement down there. So theoretically, you could say that you fathered their supporters group. Is that a stretch?
Well, maybe a bastard child. I mean, it's fun to talk trash about Columbus because, well, it's Columbus.
Sure.
And they had their groups scattered around that stadium, and they put them all together.
Yeah.
And I think that it definitely did spark something. And as pathetic as they can be at times in Columbus, it's a good thing for the league that there is now a recognized area of their stadium for supporters, and they are getting stronger, and they are making their supporters' presence felt in their stadium, because let's be frank, the rest of that stadium is empty. Yeah. So it's a good thing in a way, and I mean, if they're our bastard child, I guess that's what I can say.
They did, to be fair to Columbus watchers, if there are any out there, they did get that stage in there, which forced the three different supporter groups together, which helped consolidate them, and it help to have a championship team too.
Yes.
TFC's created the support it's created with a product in the pitch that has been lacking at times, so I think that both groups have something to be proud of. But certainly the 1,500, if it's 1,500 again, that's amazing. It'd be the second largest in the history of a regular season trip amongst any supporters groups in MLS. It would be the second largest trip, and I think that TFC fans do deserve to be proud about that, and I think that you see it in the players. They talk about how they appreciate the support. They talk about how they have the best supporters in MLS, they think. And that's not a knock against other supporters groups. It's just a reality of what we have here in Toronto, and I'm proud to stand in that section on Saturdays. I know Jack is too, and it'll be great down there. Now, the one thing that I have heard through talking to people is that, when you're talking about supporters cultures, there's an edge to it at times. We like to ride the fine line between sort of what's appropriate and what's not. We don't try to go over it.
Push the envelope a little bit.
Yeah, push the envelope, exactly. And last year at Columbus, there was some concerns about the behaviors in the parking lot before the game, with the lack of facilities that were provided. And I think that there's a lot of blame to go around there, and I don't really want to dwell on that. But I'm wondering, Jack, whether what you're going to do as a leader of the Red Patch to sort of ensure that we ride that line, but that we don't cross.
Well, definitely we encourage our members to have a good time supporting their team, and we encourage them to get out there, push that envelope, walk along that edge. But at the end of the day, supporting your team and having pride in your team, you need to do it with a little bit of class. And I think supporting you have to remember that at the end of the day, it's a game, and the people who are on the other side probably love their team as much as you do. And so as long as we can keep that bit of perspective, then that can really help us to avoid sort of undesirable situations. Now, as far as the sort of the practical issues such as the lack of facilities, we pushed hard with the Columbus front office to get us extra porta potties for our tailgate area and so on.
So you don't have to go.
Frankly, peeing on the fence wasn't, vandalism. It wasn't an act of delinquency. It was an act of necessity last year, because to get to the porta potties, the 3 miserable porta potties that were available outside the stadium last year, we had to walk right through the crew supporters tailgate. And so if you're walking in groups of 2 or 3, and there's 50 or 100, I think that's all they've got down there, right? Then that's not exactly an ideal situation. It's not, it's just it's a recipe for the kind of issues that we want to avoid.
Well, if you saw what happened at the end of the Columbus game in Toronto last year, when there was a bit of an incident in the parking lot at BMO, that was largely, I think, the fault of the BMO security for marching them out too quickly.
Yes.
You want to avoid that conflict whenever you can, so it makes sense to provide the proper facilities to the Toronto supporters. And
Definitely. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about maybe you can give us a hint as to what you've got planned going down to Columbus this weekend. Some banners, chants, anything you want to let people know about ahead of time? Maybe
Well,
just to get going a bit?
there's been a lot of stuff going around and a lot of chants, a lot of people making a lot of different banners. I mean, I know that Columbus is having their championship presentation ceremony or whatever, and I don't think that's going to be of great interest to the Toronto FC supporters. But I don't want to give away too much.
Okay.
I mean, this is something we can maybe see for ourselves on Saturday. There's going to be some great stuff going on down there, and I'd rather it be shown at the time of the event.
But I think it's fair to say that what might happen will show a little more wit than crudeness.
Yes.
It's something that will not be disrespectful, but disinterested.
Yeah, that's the idea, right? You don't want to disrespect the other supporters so much as you want to show them up. And I think there's a difference there between because showing them up, they're the ones who are going to feel bad as opposed to getting into something. And again, I get back to the point I made earlier about trying to support your team with a little bit of class. You know what I mean?
Speaking of class, what did you think of the GM's comments this week in that video where he said Toronto didn't have much class when we sent them back home with a little bit more respect?
I don't know. I mean, the guy sounded like an idiot in that video, to be honest. And the selective use of video clips, including video clips that weren't even from the game in question, it's showmanship. I mean, what's the guy going to do? He's the GM of a team with the worst, or they set a record last year for lowest attended MLS game ever. He's got to do something. So if he wants to talk a little bit of trash and he wants to bend the truth, to put it politely, to make his team seem better than they are, well, I can understand why he's doing that. But the fact is that if you took a picture of that stadium on that day, the predominant color was red. The loudest people in that stadium were not wearing yellow. And that's the truth. So he can tell whatever fantasy tales he likes and whatever fairy tales he wants to tell about his team. But the bottom line is we owned that stadium last year. We're going to own it again this year.
So that's been Jack DePoe from the Red Patch Boys heading down to Columbus this weekend. For Dwayne Rollins, I'm Ben Rycroft. You don't know the game until it's called football.